Says we're going live. It says we're live. We are live. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Roundtable with the Stream Team. And this is where we talk to amazing guests about how they decided to become content creators and what they did, where they became, what they've kind of grown into now. So tonight we have brought a very good friend of mine who happened to be someone that we met in PAX East last year. Myself and MJ, actually, believe it or not, he was the other man. He was the man behind the camera when we were there. Mr. Danotage, how are you, good sir?
Hello, how are you? I'm doing well. I'm doing quite well. It's been a day, but it's not bad.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for coming. I know that today's your day off in the streaming world, so I appreciate you taking this hour to come hang out with us and talk and chat about everything content creation and some games and just some fun stuff in general. So I appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And we have our other panelists today. We have our good old buddy MJ is a boss. What's going on, MJ? How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, and once again, you did not use your catchphrase.
What's poppin'?
What's poppin'? That is your.
I said it once I got in the chat.
Oh,
you missed it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it.
You gotta say it for the show.
You gotta say it for the show, bud.
I'll do it at the end.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. And you heard, our amazing female co-panelist, El Boogie 0208. How are you, El?
I am good. How are you doing on this horrible Monday?
Other than it being Monday and having to wake up and go to work,
right?
It was a good day. Monday is like the day you got to get up and you're just like, first day of work, you gotta go, you gotta go. And then for me, it's Thursday. Thursday is my other day of the week that I dislike.
Yeah.
Thursdays, I'm just like, oh, I gotta get up and go to work, and it's just painful. And then once I get there, I'm good. So I'm good.
Well, we were on time, so that I was like, cool. Let's hope that sets the tone for the weekend. We're not running late.
Yes, I agree. So, and thank you again for joining us. So,
always.
So we are here. I'm sorry I cut you off. I apologize.
You're fine.
So Danotage, good sir. So
yeah.
why don't you give us your story of becoming a content creator and how you kind of journeyed to become what you're doing right now and kind of how you're growing. Why don't you go ahead and give us that story?
Oh man, where do I start? So way it legitimately was a long time ago when I just started breaking things apart and kind of talking about them in front of people. So back about the end of high school, beginning of college, which was 10 years ago to 11 years ago. Jesus. I was playing Call of Duty professionally and started getting into the esports before esports were called esports. We did not call them esports back then. That's how old I am. So we started playing a bunch of tournaments and a bunch of traveling up and down the West Coast and a lot of these things based on what you did back in the day. It was climbing ladders, MLG before MLG was MLG. They would call them game battles before MLG bought them up, and then they became their own thing. So I started playing that, and that kind of brought me into a whole different world about entertainment and what it meant to be doing stuff in front of people via video games. Because I'd play sports and stuff like that, so we understand what sports are. Sports are very much a known thing and a very popular thing at that point still. And then we started to learn about what esports were. We just called it competitive gaming at that point. And then that turned into a couple of guide companies actually coming to our team that I was mainly with for a long time, and asked us to be a part of a strategy guide writing crew. So we had been doing something for our clan leader was a graphic artist, so he would make old maps based on SOCOM when we were playing SOCOM, and then we eventually moved him into Call of Duty. And he's just well, do you feel like making a thing for us and putting that in a book and maybe consulting on some of the strategy? And we're like, okay, we'll do that. So they did that for a couple books, and then it happened to come about that I was a writer and I was studying to be a writer. So they're like, okay, you want to go actually like we'll just send you to go do something like this and see what they come out with, and then we did that, and I started getting into strategy guide writing, and that turned into getting a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper into what it meant to do like entertainment inside the video game world. And then at one point throughout college, I started a radio station, started being on the radio and talking about metal music and video games and all kinds of stuff like that. And then that turned, those two things combined, and they're like, hey, do you want to run our Twitch channel? It's like, no, I have no idea what I'm doing there, but I'll try it.
We don't have an idea, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, we're gonna start like a couple month plan to figure that out. I was like, okay, maybe it might as well start my own channel. And that's when kind of I started the Danotage name, because my competitive name was Sabotage and my name's Dan, so I was like, okay, let's just be creative and jam them two together, because that's how creativity works.
Peanut butter and
so
jelly, slam them together, you get a sandwich.
Pretty much, yeah. And then so I did that and started to kind of I worked with somebody else to build a community to start raising money for Extra Life back when we started. That was like our reason for like starting in general. And I was like, well, that happens to be it sounds like an awesome plan, and I gotta learn about what Twitch is anyway, so let's put those two together. And then yeah, that sort of started my channel. I started streaming Borderlands the pre-sequel, with no mic, with no camera. I just started streaming it and typing in chat and hanging out with like the 3 or 4 people that would come by and watch, and then it sort of went from there. I started like putting together a camera, taking all my audio equipment out from renting it out from a radio station and using that for a little bit, and then started putting together a couple things there. And I started learning about I was the reason I was in college was for media and film and audio and stuff like that, and writing more than anything, because it was communication. So I started to like put together a show and start to put together a lot of the hardware that went with it. And I sort of understood it already, so it was a nice big boost into that. So basically all the things started to combine, and then I just started streaming. I mean, as an author and as in school and being able to kind of run my own schedule, I was just able to just start streaming. I wasn't streaming very long every day, but I was streaming like every day. And people started coming in, started hanging out. I started to meet a lot of cool people, and I started meeting streamers basically immediately, because I had already been going to stuff like E3 and PAX and whatnot. So I started meeting people almost immediately, and then started making friends. And then it just kind of went from there and started streaming. And then the streaming world just kind of grew up at that point. So it's been almost 5 years now of full-time streaming, and yeah, that's where we are today. That's kind of the long and short of it, really.
The long and short. Who was your first streamer that you met and you kind of connected with?
Well, there was a small group of them, but there was one that kind of sparked it. So I had been following and watching Tiger Rider for a long time. So I met him at E3, who was there with Scarfino. Back then she was Obizianka, now it's Monkeyism, and Death Sculpt. I think they're in Santa. So there was like a bunch of us. We all went to lunch, started like kicking it off and stuff like that, and just kind of set it off from there, because he had known me from his chat and he had known that I streamed and stuff like that. So we started like just kind of hanging out, and nothing ever really like came up as far as like how that went. And then it was just like, okay, cool, let's like this is awesome, you guys are fantastic, and you seem pretty nice. And I was just like, hey, well, I'll see you later, right after lunch. After lunch was over, because they were all hanging out, and it was like, oh, see you later. Hey, it was like, and then he asked me like, what are you doing tonight? So well, I'm just kind of chilling with I had a lot of my coworkers there, so it was we're just like probably gonna get, I don't know, dinner or something like that, not really too much. He's like, well, we're going to this Twitch party, and I know that you just started streaming like a couple months ago. So, like, do you want to come? I was like, sure. And they brought me in, and we hung out. That's where I met a bunch of staff members that I'm still friends with to today. And it turned out that I got to meet a couple cool people there too. Grimmy Bear, who I'm still really good friends with today. I met there for the first time, and we ended up hitting it off, and it just everything kind of blossomed into something much bigger, because back then it wasn't a huge deal to be going to like this Twitch party. It was like one of the first Twitch parties that ever existed. It was E3 2014 or 15 or whatever.
Right.
Now it's like you don't go to the Twitch party because it's too packed because there's too many people. Back then it was like, no, we need people in here.
Yeah.
So we just kind of all hung out there and had a good time. So yeah, that was like some of my first friends here on Twitch, but it's just grown since then. I'm still friends with Tiger Rider. Still friends with actually everybody in that group. I don't talk to everybody as nearly as much, but it is they're there and we still hang out and they're still good people, and you know, never want to give up those friendships because they're some of the best people I've ever known, and yeah, it's just kind of gone from there.
Now these people are they work directly for Twitch, some of them?
None of those people do, but I did meet some people there, like who I guess one of the only ones I knew from Twitch at that point was who would it have been? Siren, I guess. Siren was the event coordinator for like parties and stuff at that point. Now she's one of the assistants for running TwitchCon. But I met Siren, and she's the one that helped me get into the party and get into like the stuff and whatever. And then I found out that she lived in she was from San Diego, obviously living in San Francisco. And then when we finally like moved there and did a bunch of Extra Life stuff together, it was just like, oh, we're just, you know, just hanging out. It's cool. So we kind of hit it off there.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's cool. Now, there's one thing you kind of like skimmed over was the some of the stuff that we kind of spoke about before when we were on the Iron Lords podcast is you did the competitive CS:GO stuff, correct?
I did a little bit of CS:GO. My main gig was Call of Duty, yeah.
And then after a while, you kind of evolved and did other things, and you said you did the Prima game writing books, correct? It was Prima, or
I worked, yeah. So some of the first company I ever worked with was Piggyback,
right?
And then Brady Games, and then Prima Games, and then eventually Brady Games and Prima Games became one company. We became Prima.
Now,
yeah.
Now I'm gonna give a shameless plug for you. I happen to have this book right here that you wrote sitting right next to me on my desk. That
I've got one right behind me as well. Yeah.
so I figured I'd give you that plug. It's on Amazon if you would like it. And
that's a whole different thing too. Yeah.
Yes, but like I myself, I actually read it and I went through it and I thought it was pretty interesting, and it kind of gives, you know, a little bit of a background thought process of how some of the thoughts and how some of the things you wouldn't imagine to make a difference in your streaming life to end up kind of helping you to grow and to build that community, which is pretty nice. And Elle, do you have any questions for Mr. Dano while we're going? So I'm not saying, because I'll sit here and me and Dano will talk all day, because we were talking for almost 45 minutes before the show started. But did you have anything you were thinking of?
I got one.
Oh, you got one? Go ahead, MJ.
Yeah.
Just go ahead.
So once you first started streaming, what system, or were you on PC? Like you said, you were playing Borderlands. Or the pre-sequel?
Yeah. I was on PC because I didn't have any of the capture technology yet. It was back then. It was still super expensive. Like to get one of the Haupages was like $300, which I had that stuff, but I didn't want to use it because it was like specifically for work and guide writing and stuff at that point. But yeah, it was mostly just PC stuff. And then, but I came from when I was playing Call of Duty, I was on Xbox. So that was like the main gig there. And then eventually it was mostly all PC because that was just the easiest thing to do at that point.
Which Call of Duty?
I competed in 1 and 2 and 4.
The good ones.
All the Infinity Ward ones, yeah. I should say the Respawn ones, because most of the people that worked on those games don't work for Infinity Ward anymore.
So that's why Apex is so good.
Respawn, the team at Respawn has never made a bad game in my opinion, all the way from Call of Duty 1.
Man, that's high praise.
I mean, think about it. So you got Call of Duty 1, Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 4, because they didn't do 3. And then most of that team went on to make Respawn, which made Titanfall, Titanfall 2, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and Apex Legends. All of those are bangers.
Right. I agree.
Fallen Order is
Where I
amazing.
come from, man.
Please tell me you beat it, Pete.
No, I have not beaten.
I still haven't beat it either.
I'm
but
super.
I'm like close.
I'm super close. Like I got like.
Even if you have to lower the difficulty, I recommend beating it.
It's just I haven't. I don't know. Like
difficulty.
I just get pulled back into like multiplayer like all the time. Like
It's worth it. It's not that long. I would say it's worth just going through it.
I think I'm probably got like an hour left, like maybe 2 hours left. Like I just gotta just buckle down and just do it, because it's just.
Agreed.
I just gotta do it. It's just Escape from Tarkov. It's just like it pulls me in, pulls me in. I want it to be better. I want to do better. So, if you guys, I'm sorry, I see a couple of people talking in chat about the audio and the video and stuff. I actually got a new streaming system here, so I apologize if it's a little off, but just know that your input is helpful. So going back to Dan. So when you decided to go to the whole entire streaming realm, if you will, so you kind of. It kind of just evolved because you were already in that competitive space. So like, like your family kind of knew what you kind of did. They were okay with you going to that streaming space and talking about that type of stuff.
They didn't really have any idea. Cause like, I was working for. So when I first started at like, because I was a freelancer, right? So I never really had a real job at Prima Games, right? I was just a freelancer, basically got whatever jobs they decided to give me. So there's nothing guaranteed there. So I for a long time, I never left my job, my full-time job before that. So I had a full-time job, I was working about 50 hours a week, going to school 3 to 4 days a week, depending on the semester. And then in between that, streaming for like 3 days after work. Or 3 days a week, about 3 hours. Every day, 3 hours a day after work, and just kind of breasting it that way. And then when there was a job, I actually wouldn't stream for a while. So I would, sort of try to figure out what I'm doing there. And sometimes there was travel going on. Sometimes I had to lie to my job and say I'm sick because they wouldn't give me the time off. I hated that job with a passion. I did that for 4 years.
Can you say what it was?
It was. No, I'm not gonna say who it was, but it was a food product company. I would say they did, and basically what I did, and you can probably figure it out if you ever worked in a grocery store or something like this. What I would do is I would go to grocery stores and I would basically stock our shelves. Whatever our product was, I would stock our shelves. But that also meant like we'd have to build like the huge displays that you see in the stores. You have to like truck out, thousands of pounds of product every single day. And it was just like, it was killing me. It was legitimately like physically and everything killing me, because like I was in shape, but I wasn't like nearly as strong as I am today. And it just it was exhausting, working like 12 to 13 to 14 hours a day, and then still coming home and trying to stream. It was rough, and the pay was, while it paid my bills and paid my rent and stuff like that, seriously didn't seem like that much, even after all the holiday pay and overtime, and even being in a union. It was hell, but it definitely taught me. I'd worked several retail jobs before that too, but it definitely taught me what it was like to do something you don't want to do for so long, and gave me kind of the drive to go do something else, but it was still scary because I could never quit it, right? Everything else I was doing was never going to pay the bills. But I was jumping on something that was a little bit risky and stuff like that. So to go back and answer your question, my family never really knew. And they like, even today, they know what I do, but they don't really understand. But they never really knew what I was doing, because it was sort of it was just a side thing. And when I was doing like books and stuff like that, every now and then there'd be like a Call of Duty or something that would come out, and my mom would go buy one of the books and she'd give it to my little brother, and like when I came home for Christmas or something like that, I would sign it for her and stuff like that. So they very much appreciated that I was doing something in some sort of spotlight, but they really had no idea. what it was. So they were probably as supportive as they could be without knowing anything really. Like not because I kept a secret. I knew they wouldn't understand, and when I would try to explain it, they still didn't understand. So it just kind of went on that way.
Yeah, it seems like that's what the global thought process is with a lot of parents. From a lot of people that we've spoken to, their parents or family or anyone, when you talk to them about, wanting to stream or what you do is streaming or content creation, if you will, it's like they don't fully understand what it is. So I kind of feel like it's more of a generational thing. Like we understand it, and when we have kids, they'll understand it because we'll understand for them. But like right now, like my parents, I told them, I'm like, 9:00, please don't open the door. Don't ask me questions. Don't call me because you don't understand how your computer works. I have to do this podcast with friends of mine. So I have to kind of inform them of those things. But they're kind of just like, what is a podcast? And then like I downloaded it for my parents, for my mom, and my mom's like, I don't even know how to play this and listen to it. I was like, okay, Mom, it's okay. So
yeah, it's in layers. You can talk about this in many layers. Like my stepdad, he pretty much gets it. Like he showed up in my channel many times. He knows what's going on. He's usually there to troll me too, because he's just that kind of guy. He's like, who's this guy on the screen? This isn't the channel I flip to, stuff like that.
Yeah.
He'll sit there and troll me. He just kind of understands it that way. My mom just kind of gets the spillover of whatever he tells that. My dad has asked basically every holiday to explain to him what it is, because he knows what it is, but he doesn't.
We're going local right now, and I am recording as we speak. So, okay. So I guess we'll just start from here, and I'll just merge the videos, and then I'll upload them and clean them up.
Cool.
All right. More things for me to do. Fantastic. Like we were saying before, Dano, as we're always sitting by the computer, there's always something new to do.
There's always something.
Yes. So, all right. So we were talking before about your family and everything, and how they kind of didn't understand, and that was kind of cool. That's very interesting how they kind of they didn't understand, and how you kind of have to explain it, and that was very interesting. Do you have a thought or a remember of like the first time you were gaming, like you were like couch like playing games with like family, friends, or something?
Do I remember the first time? I mean, I remember the first game I played.
What was that?
That was actually the Tasmanian Devil game. It's just called Taz, T-A-Z, on the Atari 2600.
And do you remember playing that with your family, or
so?
With your
I was young. I was definitely very, very young. But that was at my grandma's house actually, because she would watch me for the majority of my early life. And she actually, like, for a grandma, she was a gamer. Like she had that not because of me, she had that because she wanted it. So she had like several games and stuff like that for the Atari. Later on, she got like a Game Boy, and she'd have like the original like Mario on there and a few other things. And then now she, like, pretty much every Christmas we get her either an update to her whatever tablet she's using, or give her some like Amazon gift cards or something like that, 'cause she usually like buys like the casino games on there, so she still plays those every now and then. But yeah, she's kind of who got me started there, because she just always had it, and it was always available, so I was like, all right, cool. So yeah, I've been playing games since like I can actually remember. Yeah, all over the place.
Now from what I remember, from the other podcast, you said that your grandma was kind of like almost like a partial inspiration for you to play games, because she had them so available for you.
Yeah, I mean, like, there wasn't much for us to do. Like, I was an only child. I didn't really have any, at least on that, especially on that side. I didn't have any cousins. I didn't really have many people, because like my parents been split up since I was young, and so when I was with my mom, I was with my grandma, and she didn't like we didn't really have too many other people around my age around that time. So when I was there, we'd either I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, because while my grandma was working at the time, my grandfather he had been discharged from the army, and he was on disability, so he couldn't really do much for work. He was basically retired at that point. So I'd spend like most of my days with him, and obviously a lot of cartoons, a lot of football. He was a huge Oakland Raiders fan. And then every now and then I'd play on the Game Boy or in the Atari in the room. And so it was just kind of like that was where I spent most of my days. There was really nothing else to do for me at that point. So it was almost like I was forced into video games, but also something that I just wanted to do anyway. So yeah, it was kind of there, and there was not really. It was kind of the only thing I had in front of me, you know.
So you had that, and you kind of pushed through. So did she have like did they have like a wide assortment of different things for you to play, or is it just like
that I don't remember. I don't think so, because like that's like Taz is like the one that sticks in my brain the most. Outside of that, I'm pretty sure I played like Tank or something like that. What Tank Battle or whatever the heck it was called. It's probably just called Battle. Played a little bit of that. I think at a certain point, there's always been like this kind of addictive personality to video games, because like I'd been through so many different like people watching me. Like I was at like professional babysitters. I was at like daycares and all kinds of stuff, and really like if there was like a little game in the corner, if there was some type of game, that's where I was, and that's what I was going to do. So like there was always this, I don't want to deal with anybody else, I just want to play this video game no matter what. I would there were times where I would sneak in the other room at this babysitter's house, because she used to watch like these other two twins and like another person, and there was sort of like four of us, but like I was like, I don't see myself connecting with these guys, because they had all been being watched by this lady for like years, so they all knew each other. I was kind of the odd man out. And then I saw that they had like this I think it was a Nintendo, it was Super Mario Brothers 3 that they had that she had in the other room, and I'm like, I would sneak over there and start playing. I don't think she even knew about it, so I don't know if she was a good babysitter or what, but just start playing it, and then eventually they figured out, it's like, oh, he actually likes this. Okay, we'll let him play this every like couple of days or whatever, because it was like her sons or something like that. So yeah, there was like Super Mario Brothers 3, and then a couple of like classics back then, but for the most part, it was just whatever was there. And those are the only ones I really remember too much. So like Taz was the big one, and Super Mario Brothers 3. A little bit of Duck Hunt, because I think my grandpa had like Duck Hunt at one point, but he would be the one playing it. I wouldn't really let his grandchildren play with it too much.
When I was playing Duck Hunt when I was a kid, my dad would always yell at the dog. And then he would always try to shoot the dog, and he would always shoot a shot like right before the next match, so he'd have one less bullet. And he's like, "Get him! What? Good!" And he'd get all mad about it.
Yeah.
Those are those funny memories that you have. When you're younger. For the next upcoming year, do you see yourself going to any new, or I should say, different conventions? Like we've talked about it before, like you said, that you don't think you're going to make it to PAX East this year because of the timing of everything going on in your life, but like what about like E3 or TwitchCon or something like that, or well, I assume you're going to GCX since you pretty much help run the whole thing. So
yeah, so both early year PAXs, those are two of my favorites. Granted, I've never been to PAX West, but both PAX South and PAX East, I like those a lot. Unfortunately, this time of year, yeah, we're moving. We're dealing with all kinds of new stuff happening, so it's just like I'm doing my best not to travel. So stay home, figure that out, and then so not going to do those this year. But that doesn't mean I don't ever want to do them again. Just not this year. And then I'd love to go to PAX West, but like everything I know about PAX West is just it's a mayhem crazy show, and I don't know if I want to deal with that. Same with like Gamescom. Like I would love to go to Germany and go to Gamescom, but unfortunately it's a whole lot of commitment for what seems to be a very impossible to see or do anything kind of show. So I'm trying to weigh out the options there. Plus, again, every time as a streamer, as a content creator of any sort, well, I guess YouTube's a little bit different because you can just record a bunch of stuff and release it. I envy YouTubers really much badly. But taking the more time you take off, the more damage you kind of do to your channel and what you do and stuff like that. Yeah. So you have to be very careful with it. So time off is getting, well, actually I should say travel to conventions is getting less and less every year, but that's also because I do have 2 or 3 conventions that I pretty much have to hit up, and like you said it. So basically I'll be moving to LA, so I'll be pretty close to E3 no matter what. So it's basically like, that's nice. Again, like TwitchCon this year, it's like doing work not to go. Because living in San Diego for the last 4 years has been pretty easy to make it to TwitchCon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
E3 and then GCX, obviously. GCX is it's a company, or it's a convention that I work for, so it's definitely something I'll be at.
Am I not blinking on you now?
Yeah, you're better. I can see you.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I saw it and I was like, that has got to be aggravating to you. So I'm sorry. Like I said, this is annoying because I had tested all this stuff before and everything was going good. And
I deal with this stuff every day.
I know.
That's one of those things. Like as a streamer, as a content creator, you are everything. And part of one of those things is your technical support.
Yeah.
You gotta deal with that.
I'm just gonna start rolling into some questions because you just brought that up. Do you feel like you have to wear too many hats when you're doing all this on your own?
Too many. I mean, I don't mind wearing a ton of hats. That's the difference. Is like, I do think it's a lot of hats. I think it's often too many hats. But that's kind of the way of a millennial. And I don't mean that in like a derogatory term. That's just kind of how we are in this generation. We're forced to do a little bit of everything. It's the gig economy too. It's the same thing that like an Uber driver has, or like a DoorDash person does. Like that's not their full-time job. I would imagine they probably do all kinds of things. They could be streamers and YouTubers. Like for all I know, it's a decent gig for something like that because you can make your own schedule. Right. Contractors all over the place, but yeah, it's kind of the nature of the job. Do I think it's too much? I do, but there's like, it's hard to figure out what kind of choice you have. Thankfully, doing this as long as I have, I've been able to meet people who have helped me a ton. Obviously, like you have your moderators and your team and people that got your back and be able to help you in those ways. So it takes a little bit off of your shoulders, but now having a management team that's got my back the whole time, like I don't have to deal with arguing with other companies about, hey man, you want to charge me what? Or sorry, not you want to pay me nothing to promote your game. I don't have to deal with that. I have somebody else that deals with that, which is great, because as much as I don't mind dealing with that, that's even more time I don't have for all the other things, Yeah. Yeah. And then me as an author, and as I'm writing more books and stuff like that, I do more than just that. So it gets kind of crazy.
It's pretty cool how you kind of been able to kind of grow all your different kinds of your hats, if you will. You kind of like, because you've been doing this for so long. Now, going back to GCX, like how did you end up getting involved in GCX? And how did you kind of been there? You've been there for a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, I've been. It's been. This will be the 3rd year I'm working with them, with the people over at Rare Drop. So pretty much everybody at Rare Drop and including myself are all again managed by the same company. Plus, I've kind of gotten to know Professor Broman pretty well. Him and I have had a lot of common versus again wearing a ton of hats and wanting to do a bunch of things for for streaming and content creation. Like we both started on Twitch for charity, and like the story I told earlier, it's like I have other reasons to be on a content creation platform, but the main reason was to start gaining a community and raising money for charity. And so we hit it off that way. There was one time he needed something from a connection that I had, and he basically I did it. I put my connection forward and basically made it so he didn't really have to do much after that. And I guess he just liked that, and it turned into, hey man, we really are missing this area for Guardian Con at that point. Because I kind of went to him, I was like, hey man, I really like, I dig Guardian Con. I really think it's a great like venture in what you guys are doing. And the fact that we already had kind of a rapport going, and we kind of knew each other for a little bit, and we've been, around the same circles for a little bit. He kind of knew what I was about and what I could do, and he's like, hey man, we really need this. Can you do this? You seem like you can probably handle that. And so I was like, yeah, we'll try it out and figure out what's going on. And then when I was able to kind of show that I could get some of that stuff done, which was, getting them in front of certain like news outlets, like getting them getting GCX and Newsweek, and helping with some of their Tampa news and Florida, just outlets in general. They're like, okay, well, this is working out. We can do this. We can make this work. Gotten a little bit closer with their like marketing team. And I was able to actually like prove, because a lot of people don't understand that marketing and public relations are two different things. I'm like, I can work with your marketing team, but I'm not marketing. And then it's like, wait, hold what do you mean? What was the difference here? And then we kind of showed that. It's like marketing is going to sell who you are and sell what's going on here. PR is going to make sure that all is accurate and nobody's confused by what's going on. And then if people have complaints, your PR team is able to handle those and give them the right information there. And marketing is going to basically say, hey, this is who we are, come to our show. It's a little bit different, and I was able to show that. And between that and the lots of the friends that I've made over the years, it's a pain in the ass job, I'll tell you that. And but we all know that, because it's one of those things to where we're in a media spotlight now, to where unless it's drama, unless it's dramatic, nobody wants to write about it.
Right.
So when I go and I say, hey man, we've got this big, marathon going on, similar to something like GDQ, raising money for the people over at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Do you want to like help promote it and like talk about something that's like good in the world? And 99% of the time I get no response. But every now and then, like Newsweek, I'm gonna keep promoting them because they actually he did a really good job. They'll talk about it, and then all of a sudden we do the marathon. We raise over $4 million, and just Dr. Lupo himself raises several million in just one 4-hour block, and you're like, or almost $1 million, and actually it was $1 million in one 4-hour block. It's like, okay, now I get all these emails. They're like, hey man, we want to write about Dr. Lupo doing all this stuff. I was like, did you get the email I sent you like 6 months ago when we told you this was gonna happen? It's like, oh yeah, but we didn't know what was going on. It's like, you could have just responded to my email and I would have helped you out there. So that's basically my job there. Is I get to tell people I told you so a lot of the time.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Which is like, it's like, dude, I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a huge year. We're gonna raise millions of dollars. In fact, I was quoting to them $3 million. I didn't guarantee, but I was like, I promise we're gonna raise a lot of money, and we're shooting for $3 million this year. When we shot over $4 million, and I was able to say, hey, I told you so, it's just like, it feels good, because obviously it's for the kids, but that's how it became part of it. Was I was able to handle those situations, and I enjoy handling those situations. In fact, I don't know if anybody that works at Battlestate Games listens to your podcast, but if they do, you can hire me and I'll get rid of this nightmare you have going on right now. But yeah, it's basically I'm good at putting out fires in the public and making sure everybody understands things, because a lot of people, they have good intentions, but they don't know how to say them. And that's where I come in. And I'm able to prove that, which is why I've been able to get involved in companies like this.
Yeah, because the whole the whole like evolution of how Destiny Con kind of gradually changed into what is GCX, and kind of it was
The Destiny community meetup. Yeah.
it was because I don't think anyone thought it was going to be this huge
No.
helping hand for community, but for like not community, for charity.
A charity.
Sorry,
Yeah.
a charity. And from conversations I've had with you and how like you and the other streamers who are kind of on the forefront of that, kind of, they have these generous hearts, because you've done I'm trying to think of, you've done multiple charities from how long I've known you, because you've done the St. Jude's, like you were saying. You did.
I've been doing charity since the day we started, for 5 years. We've done a bunch. Like
Yeah.
there's like if I were to go ahead. Sorry.
That's all right. Didn't you do one for veterans getting games also?
Yeah, Stack Up. I've worked with Stack Up. I've worked with Steve Meshuggah for a long time. In fact, I worked with him before he started Stack Up, because he was also the creator of what the heck was the last one? Operation Supply Drop. And then they didn't click, or whatever was going on there. I don't actually know. And he went and created Stack Up, and I worked with them for a while. And then so I've worked with him. I've worked with a ton of different charities, and like the biggest problem with working with so many charities is like you feel bad that you can't do something every year or something every couple of months or something like that, because it's like I do a lot of charity broadcasts, but let's say you do 4 a year, 5 a year, you do 4 or 5 different ones every year. That comes down to possibly working with that specific charity once every year and a half or 2 years, and it's like it's hard to say, hey man, I know we haven't done anything in a while, but I still care about you guys. And it's because like I when it comes to helping veterans out, that's kind of been a huge piece through my education. So that's close to my heart. But like kids with cancer, that's close to my heart. Animals and people in right now in Australia, that's close to my heart, because like I mean the time I stream, like a lot of my viewership is Australian, so it's like those are, as much as I'm not Australian, those are my people. So like it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to not be able to do so much, and to know that however much I've done, I still don't have like this huge following that can do something every time that we want to put something together. It gets a little tough sometimes, but at the same time, it doesn't stop me. And it's never going to be that super discouraging thing. But it comes down to what you do, not necessarily what others do for you in these cases. So as long as we try and as long as we do something, you feel good about it. But it's never enough when it comes to that.
Right.
I was happy to see that Mixer is doing stuff. I guess that they're going to make it to where it's easier for streamers to go ahead and do charity streams for them.
Are they integrating within? That's cool.
Yeah, let me pull up the tweet.
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, because Elle actually she streams on Mixer, and
Hey, me too.
And you've now gone over to Mixer. Or are you doing you're by platform?
Both.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can donate or join the campaign, and then they give you the Australia Wildlife Relief website, and it says Mixer content creators and community are coming together to support the Australian wildfire relief efforts. So
it's through Tiltify though, right?
The website is aka.ms/Australian Wildfire Relief.
Yeah, so that takes it to Tiltify. So Tiltify is actually a company.
Oh yeah, it's actually at the bottom.
Yeah, Tiltify is a company that I've worked with a lot. There are a lot of good people there too. People that I've come up with just as streamers. Some of the people that I've learned and just become friends with before they even started working for Tiltify. So like my friends iCasper and Ashley Ann and a bunch of those people work for this company now, and we're able to work very closely with them. Like the cool thing about what they're doing is it's run by streamers, so they're able to give streamers what they want or what they need in order to do these broadcasts. And at the end of this month, we'll be doing probably one of my last streams before I start moving will be a big supporting stream for the Red Cross of Australia, and that the only way we can do that properly is if a company like Tiltify makes it fully integrated. I told you earlier, one of the first people I met from the streaming world was Santa. His name's Josh, and he's one of their main programming consultants. So he's the guy that like makes sure that it works for anybody that's doing a stream. So yeah, companies like this are huge lifesavers when it comes to being able to do that on a stream and actually make it so that people know what's going on. And it's cool that places like Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube definitely help with at least helping with that integration and giving them the tools to be able to integrate it as much as they can.
Yeah, well, like, because I feel like the charity streams is it's really nice because you do get to help, your causes. Do you feel that doing those charity streams also helps your channel to show how your community, I should say, not your channel, but to like make them more unified and more like, hey, we have a purpose, this is what we want to do, this is what we enjoy doing, kind of like this little kind of like a bond.
Yeah, in a way, I would say. I would say that there's definitely a camaraderie of, hey, we're all coming together to go towards a cause. Yeah, sure. I mean, none of this would be possible without a community that cares about the same thing, right? Because you can have a charity broadcast that only affects 1% of your community, and that only that 1% donates. But that's usually never the case. It's usually like a much bigger percentage than just 1%. And if it only affects that 1%, well, if you obviously have a bigger percentage that's donating, it means that, yeah, there's a connection going on there. We care about our fellow community members. It definitely, like, it I would say that it's more of a result rather than an effect, or a cause rather. It's an effect more than it is a cause. Because there are a lot of people out there that have used, hey, I'm going to do one charity stream a month, and in the back of their head, I've never heard anybody say this, but it's hard not to imagine, in the back of their head, that they're saying, well, if I do this, I'm going to look really good, and if I look really good to the people, they'll start following my channel. And I've seen that many times. I've seen a lot of people hide their selfishness behind charities. In fact, like some of the people I've come up with have started doing that, or at least they were doing that the whole time and never really noticed. Obviously, I'll never say who those people are, but that has happened so many times that it's the charity world. It becomes a little bit tricky and a little bit sticky, and you have to sort of watch your step every now and then. But there's definitely those that have used charity to help their channels and help their careers. So while I think that it is possible, I don't think it's as possible as a lot of these people think it is, because I mean, if you think about it, what's going on is you're actually doing charity streams more often than not probably hurt your channel, unless you have this very lucky strand of, you have a bunch of followers that really just care about a lot of events and causes and whatnot. I'll tell you right now, most of the people on the internet do not care about helping others. They don't. It's unfortunate, but if you bring people together and you become that influencer and influence people that you're doing a good thing, they will help, and they will try to do something good, because a lot of communities as a whole are really good. So in a way, it does kind of both. It does help your channel a bunch, but it also very much comes to a point where it's like, well, if we help now, we're not going to help later, or something like that, because people only have so much money, obviously.
yes, and that's kind of a good point that you brought up. That a lot of people, they have like their set finances and set incomes, and they can't consistently give to like a charity every month, because you're expecting them to get drop hundreds of dollars in your channel. It's something that's not going to happen. I personally, I do 1 or 2 months out of the year, and I say, all the bits and everything, and all my subs and everything I get for this month, it's going to this charity.
Yeah.
Do what you feel is appropriate. I'm not gonna force you. Like that's what I want to do because I'm very passionate about animals and the guinea pig community because of what has happened to me in the past with them, and I know that there's a bunch of rescues, larger ones in LA actually that I usually give to them every year. It's just one of those things that it's kind of it's an interesting thing. Just to change the vibe a little. So the games that you've been playing Tarkov, obviously, because you and I have been playing that, and it's been fantastic. Right now, you're Monster Hunter, and you are pumped about Monster Hunter. How do you feel about the new Monster Hunter version right now, Iceborne? Have you started to get into that content yet?
Yeah, we got into it a little bit in the past couple days. I played on PS4. I played all the way through the base game when it first launched. It took me like about a month to get through absolutely everything.
Mm-hmm.
And for anybody who's watched my stream will know that I've been playing Monster Hunter for about 8 years, like basically since the second game came out. And when World came out, I was actually very disappointed. It felt like a much muddied down, watered down version of what Monster Hunter really was. Obviously, they made it prettier. They made it a lot easier to play and access based on being on like a full-on console and putting it later on PC and stuff like that. I thought it was a really big and good addition to the Monster Hunter series in general. But as a veteran, it just kind of felt too easy. It felt muddied down. It felt like they took a lot of things out. With Iceborne, it feels like they are putting that all back in. Granted, they're charging $50 for the DLC, but they're putting all the things back in. So we used to have this thing called G rank, which was the really like the much more difficult ranks and monsters that came out of there. Now it's called Master rank because instead of doing the same monsters but harder, they've added a lot more monsters, and it's in a new map, and there's new items and new weapon moves and new armor sets and stuff like that. So they've turned it into something completely different, but with the same vibe as it felt classically. So they brought a lot of that feel back, and now it finally feels like Monster Hunter again. I'm super happy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've seen how excited you are when you're playing it, and I feel like they kind of, from the times that I've seen, because I haven't played the past versions of Monster Hunter. I kind of wonder if Capcom...
Most people haven't. That's the thing.
Yeah. I wonder if Capcom was kind of like dipping their toes in the water, so to speak, to see if people were going to buy it, the first version. And now that they saw it, they're like, oh, well, this is perfect. We're going to be able to we'll put a, expansion out, and we'll put everything in there that we originally wanted to do. Kind of like just a little teaser. So I kind of enjoy watching you because you play it a million times better than I do. I have
lots of experience.
I am horrible. Like I thought I was doing pretty well. I'm like, oh, this is good, and then I watched you play it, and I was like, I'm terrible. I was like, I'm just gonna stick to my first person shooters. I'm like, I'm good.
They're pretty obvious about a lot of that in their story and how they tell it, because the whole story behind it all, because a lot of Monster Hunters actually, like, some of them are kind of in the same world and story together. There's like, I would say 4 out of the like 12 games that there's like 4 different timelines or worlds sort of. This was or generations, I think, I guess you would call it. This is all brand new. Like, this is nothing from before affects now. And that's kind of the story they've told, which is, hey, this is a new world. This is pretend this is a brand new series. We've never touched this before. What have you. They seemed pretty obvious about the fact that they wanted players that have never played their game before to come in, and they wanted to focus on that. I think a lot of Monster Hunter veterans, because the community can be a little elitist. I wouldn't say toxic, but elitist. A lot of the veterans would sit there and say, well, this game is not for me, and I'm offended. When I'm sitting here saying, the game's not for me, but I understand who it's for, and I'm actually happy about that, because it basically... Monster Hunter is a Japanese game. Like, it's always been a Japanese game. That's why it's always been on handhelds. A lot of us Westerners were like a tenth of the population, if that. We're probably like 100th of the population that were playing Monster Hunter. We're a very small part of it. If you look at the numbers now, which I don't know what they are, but I'd be willing to guess that we're probably close to a third or even half now, because we brought a lot of people who've never even heard or even thought about playing the series, or it never looked attracted to them, attractive to them, until World came out. It's like, oh my god, I can actually play this because it looks like a modern and game that I can play now. And that's very much what it was.
Right.
So yeah, the game wasn't for me. It wasn't for somebody who's been playing Monster Hunter for years. It really wasn't. Now it kind of is. It's unfortunate that you had to buy it twice, but at the same time, it kind of is.
And some people bought it 4 times on their console and then again on PC because of the release dates. So
yeah, I bought it. So I bought the base game twice, and then thankfully I was given Iceborne by Capcom, which was cool. But it's definitely nice having it on PC too, because it's like it's the first Monster Hunter you can get a nice performance out of, which is nice.
Yes, it's beautiful. And MJ, do you have any questions for Dano?
I do not.
You do not? What about you, El? Do you have any questions for Dano?
No, I think we've run through the paces.
we have gone through a bunch of questions. Now, one of the last questions that I like to ask every guest that comes on is, what type of world or universe would you like to live in?
Oh man, you're talking about from video games specifically?
Video games, books, movies, anywhere that you would like.
I've thought about this question actually a lot in my life, and it's tough because usually if it's in something, there's usually something really bad happening in it.
Yep, that's what a lot of people have said.
Because you're like, oh, I really loved Mass Effect coming up, and you're like, but Mass Effect was basically all of Earth was under fire by Reapers, and then at some point you couldn't go anywhere else without there being these mercenary groups trying to hunt you down. It was like you don't have to be the protagonist to be in danger there. But go ahead.
You can. There's people that have said things like, I like to live in the world of Star Wars back in the days of the Old Republic when it wasn't everyone was in war. But things like that.
Depending on what part of the Old Republic you're talking about.
Yeah,
a lot of the Old Republic was under as much as. I mean, it depends on if you were born in a Sith realm as well. It depends on where you are. You don't get to choose everything, because the Republic itself was pretty nice, but there was a lot of bad places there too. However, the Sith were not. There was no rule of 2 in the Old Republic. It was there was Sith were an entire race and owned many cities and planets and all kinds of stuff. They were basically trial by fire type of beings, to where if you weren't tough, you were basically killed essentially. I think that would be, as far as things go, as a normal. See, I'm assuming you're talking about being just a normal person, right? Not being special in any way.
You can say however which way you want, because we've had people that said, I want to be Spider-Man, or I want to be a person in the Marvel universe, just a regular guy, or I want to be a guy with superpowers in this. But, you don't have to specifically do it. You want to be a moisture farmer on Tatooine. You could literally you could say anything.
Let's see. I would. It is tough. I think that if anything, I would like to be. It'd have to be a citizen in something like Stardew Valley or something like that, to where almost like your goal is just to not be too unhappy. It's almost impossible to be unhappy fully, because you're just there and you can farm and you can have a shop and you live in this little town where nothing really affects you. It's kind of a utopia in a lot of ways. And I play the game a lot, so I do know a lot about it, which is nice. But yeah, it seems nice. While there's challenges and stuff that keep you going, it's totally unrealistic, but it's still something fun. That it's not a garbage planet like everything else that video games are about, which is the only. That's the thing, is it's not bad because that's what keeps things interesting, right?
Yes.
It'd be cool to live in Night City and Cyberpunk, but it would also be terrible at the same time.
I can't wait for Cyberpunk. It's gonna be so interesting. It's gonna be so much fun to watch and play that game. I'm excited for it to come out this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Couple more months. right?
Yeah, we're like almost under 100 days.
Is it March? Is it coming out in March, April?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, March.
Ooh. Birthday present. Anyway, so anyway, Dano, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for dealing with all of the video and audio problems. I am so
No problem.
sorry. We'll have to have you back one day when we don't have any more problems. So once I kind of clean everything up.
You know me, I get it, man.
Yes,
I totally get it.
Yes, I do, and I appreciate it. So Dano, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Sure. You can find me pretty much everywhere at Danotage, Danotage. Most of my main places are on Twitch. I do upload to YouTube every day. So if you want, I need more subscribers there, guys. It's like impossible to get subscribers on YouTube for some reason, even though I can get many on Twitch. But yeah, you can find me there. And Twitter, I do make up stuff a lot of the time, but Twitter's kind of a garbage place too. So I kind of, if you want to give me a positive interaction and I can feel good about it on Twitter, I'll be your best friend. So come hang out with me there. But you'll see a lot of my my powerlifting and workout stuff on Instagram as well. So whatever you like, there's something out there with my name on it for you. Probably.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, there is, and I wanted to talk about your workout regiments and all that stuff too, but you know, I don't want to hold everybody for that long today. But
that'll be a whole nother podcast.
Yes, we'll have to do that one day. Definitely do that. MJ, good sir, where can we find you?
What's poppin'?
He did it.
He did it. The catchphrase. So tell us where we can find you and your times and all that fun stuff.
You can find me on Mixer at Beat 10, and then you can find me on Twitch, MJ is a boss, and then you can find me on Snapchat at BadyMJ.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, good sir. And then you enjoy your college life as your new semester starts. And I am not envious of you with your homework. Elle, where can we find you?
You can find me on Mixer at lboogie0208. I just got some really cool updated banners for my About Me section provided by Dinero Primero. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I said it right. Sorry. But yeah, he does a really good job. And yeah, I have a schedule now, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. weekdays, except for Monday because I do this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Oh, and on Twitter, same name.
Same name. You can find Elle wherever it's all.
Wherever, right? Wherever Elle is sold.
Wherever, exactly. Excellent. Why don't you do a shout out for what happened for you over the weekend too?
Yeah, so we had our 100th episode of Grown Woman Gaming. We do that on Saturday mornings on YouTube, and we did a bunch of giveaways, and yeah, pretty stoked about that. Keep going strong, and hopefully all of us get out to E3 this year.
Yeah, I was in the channel for most of the time. I didn't talk because you had a bunch of people in there chatting away. So it was a very, very great podcast and a great great time, and seeing the interaction with all of you ladies together, it's great. It was nice. And I like, I'm always lurking, but I sometimes don't get time to listen. But this time I had some time to listen, and it was good. And
that's cool.
Yeah. So thanks for being able to enlighten us and make us laugh on that, because you are a shining star in that. So hopefully we can bring some of the ladies on here also. Right? Yeah, yes.
I need to reach out to them.
yes, please do. So, as everyone knows, my name is Snaldo, SnalYdo. I am on Twitch, Twitter, Discord, and in our Ironlords chat always. So, if you guys want to find me there, I'm there. I thank everybody for hanging out. Thanks. If you have any comments or questions or anything, leave them down below. I'm going to take this, cut it up, and fix it up, and put it up as one large video. Dano, once again, thank you very, very much for hanging out with us today.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule for hanging with us. And everything will be on all of the YouTubes. the podcasts, iTunes, and things like that on Wednesday morning when you guys wake up. If you have any questions, please email us at roundtablestreamteam@gmail.com, and we'll be able to ask our guests those questions. And we have our Twitter, which is TableStream. If you want to go there and you want to see when we end up having guests come out, when we have new notifications, new fun stuff's coming up, please go follow us there. And I'd like to say thank you very much. And remember, everyone, to dream big and keep gaming. And hopefully we'll see everybody next week. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.